guys, so this video's been holding off for quite a while. Well, let's just say a few months actually. I bought this boat back in January. This is gonna be my dinghy for our Marinette 32. If you haven't already, check out my channel, you'll see that boat there, and I've got a lot of boat projects going on with that as well. So this is gonna be a 9-foot Livingston. It's a all fiberglass boat, and it's actually a pretty light boat for being a fiberglass, but this is the color, and I'm going to be painting it right there. That is a Rust-Oleum topside oyster color, and it's going to be quite a bit lighter than this. They're on the marinettes.com and the Marinettes Facebook page. That color is actually very, very close to the original color of the Marinette. So anyhow, we're going to be getting rid of this tan color, and we're going to be sanding this down. And I've got a little bit of, right here, we've got a little bit of small repair, and once I get in here and actually sand this down, I'll see if I need to do any more repair to that. It may have just kind of broke through a little bit. Somebody did a little repair there, but I've got a spot there, and also got a spot right here as well. So we'll be checking this out, make sure that's going to be structurally sound, and if it's not, then we'll lay down some fiberglass and take care of that. Now up here on the bow, we've got a little bit of a crack right here. We're going to be coming in, sanding this down, and then reinforcing that with some new fiberglass as well. And then also the eye hook is located on the top side. I might keep that, but since I may tow this boat as well, I may go ahead and put in a piece right in through here, and then put an eye. That way we can actually hook onto it from the bow, and then that way when you're pulling it, it'll actually kind of bring the bow up a little bit, instead of, if you hook it to that, it'll actually kind of pull the bow down into the water. So may change that as well while we're doing this project. So, oh yeah, and I've got some dinghy davits too that I picked up on eBay. I've got 2 of these, and this is what we're going to actually mount it and actually be able to pull up the dinghy on the swim platform and get it out of the water if we need to do that as well. My plan is to actually carry it on the back of the boat, but if we need to, we can always pull it and do it that way. So let's get sanding, and let's take you through the process. Going to be using 220 sandpaper on an orbital sander. All right, everybody, it's going to be a long video, but it's going to include me painting the dinghy along with the Mercury 3.3, some maintenance and water pump, impeller and change, along with installing the dinghy davits. All right, so it took me a little bit, but I've got the boat bottom all sanded down, and those hard to get areas, I just use a Scotch pad to get in there, especially on the bottom of this, or the hole there where the inside is. If you guys can see that, it's really tough to get in there with a sandpaper even, but a scuff pad, you get in there and you get right in between there and really scuff down what you need to be, get done, and get ready for paint. Now, most importantly, just all of your paint. This looks like this is an oil-based paint. Is extremely tough. It's probably like a Rust-Oleum paint. Any type of shiny areas, you just need to make sure you get that knocked down and get that scuffed up. So it might be just a tiny little bit shiny, but if you get the most of it, you should be ready for paint. So the rub rail that was on here, if I don't fall down here, the rub rail, they had painted that, and man, that took me a while to I had to actually take a little wire wheel and actually go down that rubber rail and peel off all that paint. that was on there. That was a job, let me tell you. So anyhow, we're going to be going on to the next step. The next step is basically we're going to be cleaning this up. I've got to do a little bit of fiberglass repair right here on the bow. We've got a little crack right in this area, right here and here on both sides. I'm going to be taking care of that. And the bottom here, where the very point of the hole runs up through there, I've got a couple places that had been patched before, but I got that sanded down and it still looks really good. So most likely I'm not gonna have to touch that. That should be good to go. So we'll fix these cracks, and the next thing we'll do is we'll put some paint on this bad boy and make it look a whole lot better. So on to step 4, 5, whatever we are, close enough. So keep watching. All right, so I've got about 4 hours of the work on the boat done, and I've got everything sanded down, all the glossy spots taken out, and now we're gonna go back through and work on a couple of the cracks that we have in the fiberglass. And so we've got one right here, and we had a little one right here as well. So I'm gonna get in there with a flapper disc on a grinder. We're gonna take this down, get rid of the gel coat that's in here, and kind of get down to where the fiberglass is on both sides. And then I'm gonna overlay some fiberglass in these areas to help support and strengthen up both sides of this boat here on the bow. This is that patch job that somebody has done there, and it's solid. It's a little wavy, so I'm gonna put a little filler in there, just kind of smooth that up just a tad bit. Here on the backside, here's that other little spot as well. And it's probably just what happens. They got in there and took the gel coat up, chipped it up, and they just went in there, did a quick little job on it. But we'll lay a little bit of filler in these areas too, kind of clean it up. Got a little spot right there, it'll do the same thing. We've got that. So let's go to town. And guess what? So I started working on this. I was like, man, that thing sure is flimsy. And guess what? So we got a piece of wood in here, so they put a little spacer block of wood in here to give it more strength. And guess what? It's wet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this piece out right here, this piece of fiberglass. I'll pull out this piece of wood and we'll replace that while we're in there. So one little job is now turned into a little bit bigger. So this is going to be, the whole thickness of this is going to be about 1/4 inch. So there's about 1/4 inch fiberglass that this boat is made out of. Right here, I'm actually going to put another piece of wood with another eye here as well. So we're going to do 2 projects at once, reinforce this, make this better, and then put another eye right here. That way, if we're towing this dinghy behind the boat, it'll actually pull the bow up out of the water as we're going forward. Instead of, if we have it hooked here, it may actually pull the bow down in the water. So let me go get some fiberglass resin and we'll come right on back. Get this cleaned up with some acetone and mix up some epoxy and put down some fiberglass and make it better. I do know I use acetone a lot, and I know it's really good for cleaning fiberglass, steel, anything that you're gonna do where you're gonna do some fiberglass repair. It just dries extremely fast and it will take off anything. Just kind of get it laid in there like you want. If one looks good, then that'll be the last piece that goes on there. Now what I'm going to do is cut me a couple of smaller pieces to kind of go over this, where this major repair is here. So I'm going to have about 3 layers fiberglass on here. Two, and then I'm going to stretch a full one out all the way across this, give it a little bit more strength. All right, now let's mix up some epoxy. Works out really good, a lot of different things. So All right, we'll lay our first piece down in here. We'll come in here and lay our other piece. All right, now we'll come back in, we'll lay our bigger piece in here. And for the primer, I'm going to be using the Rust-Oleum product. It's Rust-Oleum primer, except this is self-etching primer. And what it does, it just actually helps really bond to the surface and what you're wanting to paint. And since I am using a Rust-Oleum paint, I figured, hey, I've got some of this, and I've had this laying around the garage, so I thought I'd use it up. All right, we'll take care, and then we'll be back tomorrow to put down, of course, our paint, the Rust-Oleum marine coating, topside paint. It is an oyster white. Can't wait to see it turn out on the bottom of this boat. So, all right, so I've got it thoroughly mixed up. And whenever you paint out, use it out of a can, just punch you some holes right down here in the rails all the way around your can. So when you get paint up in this area, it'll drip right back down into the main can and it won't keep building up on you. It's a nice pretty color to it. See if it lays out pretty good. All right, so here's one coat, and I've used about 1/2 quart of this paint. And as you can see, I still got to go back through and do one more coat. So hopefully 1 quart will do this little dinghy. All right, so this is it. Got her done. Got her done with 1 quart, man. I am thrilled. I actually ordered another quart online just in case I didn't get done with it. But man, 1 quart barely finished up. And I'm telling you what, I am really liking this paint. Number one, it dries really fast and it has a really nice shine to it, and it lays down super fast too. It has really turned out extremely well. Now we're gonna get these dinghy davits mounted up here. Next, I've got those I'm gonna put on, but I gotta wait till I get down to the boat to do that. And then I've got an anchor too that goes with that. And I'm gonna put on some cleats and put some more cleats on the front. So I'm gonna have 4 cleats around the boat itself. And man, turned out good. I've added a few weights down here to try to help push down that paper on that stencil. That way I don't get any overspray going up underneath to kind of deteriorate where my line's gonna be. And help it along, a nice hair dryer over there works great. So now we're gonna come back and shoot it again. All right, that is not too bad at all. Let me zoom in here, you guys can check this out. All right, there's the first one. Letters are a little spaced out, just a little bit too much, but it's not too bad. I just don't want to jam them in there too tight. And here I'm just about finishing this up, and tell you what, guys, it wasn't bad at all. So if I can do it, you can too. I like it, guys. It looks really good. All right, so I brought it outside to go ahead and let the sun bake on that paint for a while. And it turned out pretty good, guys. Not too bad for a roller. Has a nice shine to it. Really changed the color of it for sure. And I tell you what, the name turned out awesome. Fit for a king. I picked up a little keel protector to run on each of these twin holes here, because we're gonna be driving this boat up on the rocks, up on the sand, or wherever we're at, and I want to do some protection on it. So what this long red strip is basically a keel protector. It's like a 3M type material that just basically gets stuck there on the bottom of the hole. That way you can protect it, and you don't have to worry about damaging your gel coat on your boat and or your paint. So we're gonna be putting that on today, and everything's gonna be down in the description of all the items that I've used. So basically this is what we're using here. It has a 3M protective tape on the backside. This little red part will actually peel off, and this will be attached. And basically, it's just it's probably about a 1/16 of an inch of rubber material. It comes in a 20-foot strip, and you can put this on kayaks, you can put this on a John boat, you can put it on anything that you need if you want to just protect it and keep it from being damaged. I think what I'll do is I'll just try to center it first. Trying to get it as centered as possible. We're sitting at about 90 degrees today, and I don't know how well it will do during the cold winter months, but wow, it actually laid down really well. In the future, let's see if we can bend this down. All right, guys, so this one I'm going to use to help adhere those pieces that's going to go up underneath the cleat themselves. And I use this on the boat already, and it's actually really, really good. Give it a shot, see what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and make a bow line hookup. That way I can go ahead and pull it from one eyelet on the front of the bow. I'm still planning on using a bridle to pull the boat with both of these cleats here on the side, on the port and starboard side behind our boat. But just in case that doesn't work out really well or something goes wrong, I'm going to go ahead and make one for the center. I'm going to take two of these pieces of cutting board that I have, 1/2 inch thick, and we're going to attach it one on one side, one on the other. I'm going to go ahead and use some 4 stainless steel bolts and then 1 eye bolt for the middle to actually pull it with. All right, so I've got it all bolted and sealed and sealant, and I'll show you what it looks like on the front here. That way you got a nice little hook. You pull the boat, whatever. And I think it's gonna work out pretty decent. Kind of like it. And then too, if I pull it, the dinghy with my boat, it'll actually, if I hook to this one, it'll actually pull my bow up out of the water. The 2 cleats should do the same thing because I've got enough rise on the stern that should pull it up too. But hey, at least I've got some options here to do everything that I need to do in case one doesn't work as well. Hey, I'll switch over to the other one. So now we need to check this motor out. So as you guys are well aware of, I bought this dinghy / tender used, and it had a trolling motor on it. Well, sold the trolling motor, and then by the sale of the price of this trolling motor, now I've got $100 in the dinghy. Then I bought some paint, bought some dinghy davits on it, and what else? Some stainless steel bolts, and guess what? Then I needed an engine for it. So this is where this Mercury 3.3 is going to come in handy. It is super light, and I needed something that's going to be very simple to take on and off the dinghy, and I need something really light. I did not want an additional gas can to sit down in the boat, all right? I wanted a self-contained unit, and this is what I got. It is a 2-stroke Mercury 3.3. I've heard a lot about these Mercuries. I believe Tohatsu actually is the manufacturer of it. They actually produce a lot of the Mercury, very small outboards. And Tohatsu, if I pronounce that right, has been around for a really long time. They are a Japanese company. So the reliability is there, and the parts are easy to get through Mercury. And so let's go to it, because we got to make sure this thing is going to be ready to roll. But I'm going to go ahead and put on the new water pump, new spark plug. I may go ahead and clean the carburetor on it. I'll take you through the process, so let's go. All right, so let's take this cover off and see what's going on underneath. I'm going to drain the lower unit oil as well. The grease fitting is missing, so I'll have to find a new grease fitting, put that in there. This engine doesn't have reverse, it's only forward, and all you do is you just spin it around If you need reverse, you just spin it around. If you want to go forward, you spin it around and go forward. So it's bare bones, as simple as you can get. Please. And guess what? We've got nothing but oil. That is good news. Good news. That is always a good sign. All right, this right here is going to be the vent plug, full synthetic. I'm going to put back up in here, fill this thing up till it runs out the top. There it is. Get this one. Always put your vent back in there too first, and then that way when you pull your gear oil off, it won't run out. Snug this up and then get ready to replace the bottom. Just want to make sure everything is good here while I'm down here working on it. I'll probably try to pick up an extra impeller too, because just drop something in there. So this roll pin is, I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but it's got pretty good bend to it. So we're gonna get a new, that's probably actually the shear pin. Yep, that thing looks like a piece of spaghetti right there. And it mounts in to the back part of the impeller right in there. And then this goes down on it. Yep, catches. So, yep, definitely gonna get a new shear pin. That is no doubt about it. That's about gone. I probably need to pick up a couple spares too, in case that ever shears off. We'll lay those over to the side. And I guess we'll go ahead and take off the, see if we can get this lower unit apart. And I think I know why. There's that's gonna disconnect that shift lever or loosen it so we can pull it out. Just like this. Wonderful. Gear. And hopefully these will come out. Ooh, they do not feel like they want to come out. It's aggravating sometimes when you're trying to do a little maintenance. That's all you need to do is a little maintenance, and then just create yourself more work. And that impeller is not in very good shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you this here. As you can see, that impeller is ripped right there. And that one is too. So it was just a matter of time before it wasn't gonna be cooling right. I mean, they're shot. So see if I got a grease fitting that will fit up inside this. Oh yeah, I believe that's it. So yeah, get this tightened up and a little grease in there. Alrighty, let's see what's spark plug. Actually, doesn't look too bad at all. And it's an NGK. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pick up a new one. And I'll keep this one for spare. But you guys take a look at that piston. I'm gonna move it here. Look how clean that looks. That is one clean piston. I'll tell you what, that's maybe that's a good sign. This thing doesn't have very many hours on it. That'd be great. So. All right, let's see. All right, so I've got the new spark plug in, and we're going to check the gap on that. Remember, whenever you buy a new spark plug, you got to check the gap, unless it's one of the new iridiums or one of the new special plugs that are like $10 a piece. But these, check them. I know I've been to Par Store before, and they said, yep, it's already pre-gapped. That's not true. So the spark plug is gapped at 40 thousandths. So just pick you up a cheapo spark plug gapper tool, and we're gonna make that work. Now, what you're gonna find is when I pulled this spark plug out, I went ahead and checked it to see what the gap was, and it was at 34 thousandths. So it wasn't even right to begin with. So that right there is 40 thousandths. And this one, the old plug, was 34 thousandths. So there's a few thousandths difference there, very important. Now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and keep this plug, because it is a good plug. It was working. And as you can see, set at 34 thousandths. We're just gonna bend it up, keep sliding it over until we hit 40 thousandths. Also, I go ahead and put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. Some people say, oh, don't do that. Listen, guys, I've been doing that for my whole life. Remember, when this spark plug grounds, it's also going to ground through the body, right through this area. So some people say, oh, don't put it on there because it won't ground right. Well, guys, if you just put a little bit on there and then just take your finger and wipe off the excess, that's all you need. And trust me, guys, I've never had any problems with it not grounding. So just enough to keep it from seizing up in there in case the spark plug's gonna be in there for a while, especially in saltwater area. All right, so I got her all mounted up there, and it's gonna keep it far enough away from the swim platform there, which is gonna be nice, especially if we get some waves, and especially if it wants to go this way. But anyhow, it should do pretty good. And now what I'm gonna try to do is put a rope there and see if I can, I'm gonna take the engine off first and see if I could tilt this thing up, and then see what else I gotta do up here to make sure that it stays nice and stationary. So let's get moved over, we'll take that engine off and go to the next step. All in all, I think it's gonna be just fine, guys. So that's gonna finish up the dinghy install on the Fit for a King. And there's Fit for a King Jr. right there, guys. So we'll catch you next time on the G-Main King channel. God bless you guys. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button for me. Appreciate it. God bless. See you.